Hello everyone. So today we will continue our session from where we left yesterday. Today I will talk about inheritance, how to implement inheritance in Java. Let me share my screen. Yeah, this is if you see my screen which I have shared. No, if you see my screen which I have shared here, it is my LinkedIn account. Yesterday in my last class I was talking about that, right? If you are really interested to know about me, visit my LinkedIn profile. My full name is Satyananda Sahu. You can search in my full name Satyananda Sahu, and my photo will be there. You can identify me there. It is publicly said. You can also, if you want, you can get connected to me. This is my profile, full profile. You know, it is verified also. You can see my experience. You can go through my post. You can see my qualification, education, everything here. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about Java, the next topic, right? Inheritance. So what I will do to discuss Java next topic inheritance, I will create a package, new package. We will have inheritance classes there. My system is a little bit slow, so on click of right click after few seconds or few minutes it is coming. Otherwise, it would have come fast. Let me create a new package. Com dot example dot my package dot inheritance. I'm creating a package called inheritance. So, while discussing about object-oriented programming, slowly I will explain you some thing about some keywords, some identifiers, some other uh, Java artifacts or Java components, right? So let's talk about inheritance. As I discussed yesterday, what is inheritance? Inheritance is inheriting a property or behavior of a method, right? In general English, if you talk about inheritance, what is inheritance? In general English, inheritance, a person can inherit his parents' characteristic or behavior, right? A person who is inheriting his parents' characteristic or behavior, so that's he is having it inside his, right? So what does it mean? It means I can inherit some characteristic of my parents. I can't be my parent, right? Same as my parent. So a person like you can't be same as your father or mother. You will have some similar characteristics, similar activities, similar attributes what your mother or father is having, right? So the similar attributes which you are having, it got inherited from your family members or from your parents, from your father or mother, or from your grandfather or grandmother. That's how the inheritance comes, right? So here in Java also we'll follow the same inheritance concept. I'll create a class called person. I'll create a class called person, right? Here, before going to class, I will explain something else. In Java, before writing defining this class, I will explain something else. In Java, there is something called interface. There is something called abstract class. Okay. So what is an interface? What is an interface? What is an abstract class? An interface, it's nowadays interface has so many features. So if you go to old days, our time, interface is just an uh, that is similar to a class only, but it will have only method declaration or method signature, where there will be no behavior of the method. Means you can define the definition of the method. You can only define the method name and constants in that particular interface. You can define anything other than that, right? So when while explaining this inheritance or explaining some other aspect of uh, Java, I will show you many uses of interface, and I will show you how interface are defined there, right? While using inheritance also, I will show you why how interface are defined. First, I have defined a class called person, right? This person can be also interface, can also be a class. How to take a decision this person can be an interface or a class, that also I will tell you. So let's go ahead and now with the abstract class for only for the theory part of it. What is an abstract class? See, a class which will not or which will have at least one method undefined is called abstract class. That means let's say your class has several methods. In the so all methods are defined except one. That method doesn't has any definition. It only has the signature or declaration. You know, then that class is called as abstract class. So what do you mean by method declaration and definition, or method signature, right? Method signature or declaration. I'll just see this class inside a person class. I will define a method. Let's say find person's age. uh, Find age, person age. I'll define a method find person age. So remember one of the principle of Java. Whenever you are defining a method, the first letter will be small, and after that, if you have any other words attached to that first word, that second word first letter will be capital. So see, I defined this is a method. This is a method, simple method, find person is. It is not taking any parameter. It is not defined what it is returning, what is public, private, nothing is defined, right? So see, first let's me define it as public. I'm defining it as public. And then I'm defining it will return the age, right? So integer. And what it will take, let's say I'll pass the person ID. ID can be of string. What is string in Java? That also I'll discuss, not now, later. String is a set of characters, characters. String is a set of characters. That's all you now understand. Later I will define what is a string in Java and how to manipulate or how to play with string operations. Now this is a method which I have here. So if you see this method, this when I say declaration, this method is now declared, right? This method is now declared. The method is public integer. It is returning integer and access specifier visible to everyone and taking a parameter called string. This is what the method declaration. And if I put like this and I define, let's say something inside this. Let's put like something like this. Okay. So this method has a definition now. What this method is returning? This method is returning is 43, right? So this is whatever you define inside this curly braces, that is the definition of the method. So when I talk about interface, interface will have only like this. It will not have any definition. It will have only the declaration and signature. So the declaration is this, the whole, or signature is the whole. The signature means this find percentage method takes string type variable as input parameter, returns integer as output parameter, and access type is public. This is how we define a. This is what declaration or signature of a method or the definition of a method. Now that is interface and abstract class. For I given that method example to show you what is method declaration, what is method definition. So while talking about interface and abstract class, method definition, method signature, method declaration came into picture. That's why I spoke about it. Now coming back to this inheritance. So what actually I'm going to do here? I will create an entity called person. A person can be an employee. A person can be also a student. A person can be also a what profession. A person can be also a customer. A person can be also a agent. A person can also be a broker. A person can also be a driver, right? So person can be anything. But when you talk about an employee will have a salary. Person may have, may not have, but employee will have a salary. So that is very specific to employee, right? That is very specific to employee. A person can have name, age, ID, date of birth, uh, city, location, place, wherever he's staying, correct? All these are generic attribute which a person can have. But when you talk about employee, a employee will have salary, company name, company ID, all these this employee will have, right? So similarly, if you come to a student, student will have a student ID, right? A student will have a student ID. A student will have a department where a student will have a college name. A student will have a so many other attributes. So these are specific, right? But when employee, customer, student, driver, they all have one specific thing is common between all of them is person identification. That person identification is the common thing, right? Gender is the common thing. Date of birth is a common property. Gender is the common property, right? Even if it is an employee, he will have date of birth. Even if it is a driver, he will have date of birth. Even if it is a customer, he will have date of birth, right? So these are the common attributes. So what we think about inheritance when we talk about inheritance in particular programming language, we want to segregate common thing into one particular place and inherit that in all other classes. As I said, the property name, date of birth, gender, city, sexual orientation, all these, right? All these entities are common to employee, driver, common to teacher, common to student. So that means what we do here, we stop duplicating this attribute in each and every classes. You know, so to avoid duplication, we can inherit the properties which is already available in uh, previous class. You can inherit that and you can use that, right? So let's start, defining that and using that. Person can also be an interface. Person can also be defined as an abstract class. Person can also be defined as what class. It depends on your requirement how you want to define a person. Here, let's define this person as a class, normal class, a value object class or data object class. Why? Because person is an entity and it will hold only data and operation to that person's that data. It will not hold any business operations. For inheritance, we'll talk this, and later, if you have any concerns, any questions, you can ping me on, or you can comment me on my video, or you can, send me mail. I will check and I will reply it. I will put my mail ID also on one of the session, right? Maybe today's session, I'll put my mail ID for your information. You can send me mail also. So let's go with the public class person. I will show you for interface also. So let's go first with public class person to keep it simpler. What is inheritance? How inheritance works? Let's only talk with class and with class definition. Later, I will add interface and show you how it works. Also with abstract class. So let's only keep to class for now. So defining attributes inside this class. Private. When we are defining any data type, it should be attribute. What is this data type, or what is is a variable idea. What are the variable and constants? I already told you. So what is the data type here? In Java or in any of the programming language, you will have data type, primitive data type, and you know class type data type, and also wrapper class. In Java, we have some wrapper classes, which is non-primitive, right? So primitive data type are uh, long, short, byte. All these are primitive data type, right? So when you talk about primitive data type, just watch it here in my screen. See, since I'm not a trainer, this is not my regular job. So because of some students, they asked me uh, some help. So while teaching them about, or while passing the knowledge of Java to them, I realized, okay, let me create some videos and put it on YouTube. If any students or someone is asking me, I can share my YouTube link to them. They will be able to learn it from there. You know. So I'm not a regular trainer, so I don't have PPT. I will show you everything in Eclipse. Wherever possible, I will write on the Eclipse editor or on a notepad to show you how it works. Right here, int integer. These are primitive type. I'll show you what is primitive and what is non-primitive. Primitive. This is byte, short, int, long, float, double, factor. You know, these all are primitive type data type. If when you talk about non-primitive, this is byte. This is not primitive. This is byte. Is not primitive. This is a wrapper class. It's not the traditional type data type. It is a class type data type. So all these are classes. These are called as wrapper classes. They have wrapped for around primitive data type. In Java, they're called as wrapper classes. Integer, long, float, double, maximize this guy, double, character, string. These all are non-primitive data type, or these are wrapper classes. String is not a wrapper class. So string is non-primitive but not a wrapper class. Not a wrapper class, right? So these are the data types which we can define to hold that type of data inside the variable, right? Why data type are used in front of a variable? So that variable can hold that type of data into that variable name, right? That is the reason why we have data type. If I don't have data type and I just put a variable, let's say, if I just put a variable private name like this, and later someone can assign name equal to Satya, right? Someone else also can assign name equal to 24. Someone can assign name equal to 43. Does 43 is a name? Just 24 is a name? Satya is a name, right? Someone else can define something else also, right? So that may not be a name. So what is a name? Name is a kind of like a string or a character, right? A set of characters making a word. A word can be a name. So it is always string or set of characters. So if you put a number into the name, it doesn't work, right? So that's the reason we define a data type. What type of variable is that data type is going to hold? In some time we define string in our application programming while developing software. Sometimes we define string, but we store They are numbers. That is the reason behind that why that is done. So let's not talk about that now. If you see, okay, let me tell you. Now whenever we are defining some id, I will give you more detail about that when I will talk about all these data types after completing my inheritance and polymorphism session. That time I will take a session for primitive, non-primitive wrapper classes data type. I'll explain you there in detail how memory is attached to it and how what happens when we define long, float, double, and after certain period of time what happens. Let's say I'm defining a string called uh, national ID, or a string called passport ID, right? Or maybe a string called citizen ID. Now, a population is huge, right? And I cannot start with ID called 1, right? So I have to give a long digit of 14, 12 digit or 16 digit or 20 digit or 24 digit length characters or maybe numbers to define a ID, right? And in long, if you define that as a long or integer, in integer you cannot go beyond 14 or 15 characters or letters or numbers. So if I define it as a string, I can go beyond that. In long also, it has some certain restriction till certain that restriction value. I will tell you, when I'm taking these wrapper classes or this primitive data type sessions. So that is the reason. And in some places you have seen these IDs are combination of number and alphabets. So if I put define it as long or integer, it will not take alphabet, right? It will only take numbers. So that is the reason again, in some places, string is used to hold both number and alphabets. So private string name, right? I've defined private string name, private. I'll define your data type only. Okay, private string is private string, rather private string gender, private date, date of birth, right? See, date is coming from the util class. So if I don't import java.util.date in this class, it will show error. I will just cut it. I will just take it out. See, it is showing error. So whenever you see any classes you are defining that is showing you error, at the end of that class you can space control space bar. It will show you from which class it is coming. This all help you will get from the Eclipse. That is the advantage of using IDE, integrated development environment. And if you add artificial intelligence to this IDE, you can, there are like artificial intelligence plugins are there from Amazon, from other places. You can integrate with your Eclipse. It will help you while coding also. Nowadays, technology has gone so advanced, and it made life easier for a developer or coder. It was not like our time when I started in 2006. It was not like that. Now, not 2025. So the age of people are saying it is the age of artificial intelligence. But too much use of artificial intelligence will create you trouble. So you should know where to use your own mind and where to take the help of artificial intelligence. It's not that for everything you take the help of artificial intelligence or other intelligence softwares. So here I will define all the attributes which are generic to the person, right? Private string name, private string age, private string gender, private date, DOB, private. What else I can define for a person? What else? What else? What else I can define here? Name, age, gender, date of birth. Let's say height, right? Height can be integer, not integer, because you will have like let's say 5 and my height is 5.4 inch, right? So 5.4 is there. So integer will not accept after decimal. So you have to use float. See, these all videos are for freshers, the person who doesn't know Java or has just little information for Java. So I'm creating these videos for students, not for any professional individuals. If any professional individual is looking these videos and if he needs some guidance, some help, they can always comment me on the video or always they can mail me on my mail ID. These are for students, for school students, or maybe for intermediate students, or maybe for general graduate students. And yeah, if engineering students they are interested, it is also for engineering students those who are just joined into engineering and they started reading, computer science paper. They it will help them also. These all videos are only for students, and professional also can watch if they have if they are beginners to Java they can watch and learn. If they are experienced in Java, if they have any question, kindly comment on the video or kindly send me mail. So this is height. What else I can have? Hmm. What else I can have? Tell me. Okay. So private, float, height. Now let's define something else. Private, mm, name, age, gender, date of birth, height. Private, string. Okay. Private, string. Let's say birthplace. Right. So similarly, if you try to identify, you can identify lots of attributes to be defined. Right. So let me stop it here. See, these attributes I have made as private. I cannot use it outside the class. It will be only used inside the class. In Java, whenever we define, data class or data objects, this class is basically called data objects because it is only holding data of an entity, right? The classes which is only holding data of an entity is called data object or value object, right? So this class is a value object or data object. It is holding only entities, data of an entity, right? So here in data object or value object, all the property which you are defining, it should be private. That is the rule. That is the principle. So here all the values should be private. But how you will access them or how you will set that variable outside the class by using getter and setter methods. They are called also Java beans. So here I will generate, using Eclipse. I'll take the help of Eclipse ID and generate the setter getter. There are shortcuts to come to this generate setter getter screen. You know, the shortcuts which I knew because by my practice I knew it. So if you start coding in Eclipse, you will also come to know it. You can use keys to directly come to that screen. But here, how for a fresher or beginners, how you can go? You click on the right click in this class, then go to uh, source. In source, you will have so many things here, right? See, here it will be there. Generate setter getters. Yeah. Generate getter and setters. So here you can click on that, or you can click on what? Alt Shift Alt Shift S. It will give you this screen. Okay. And here You can again click on generate. That is Alt Shift S R. Alt Shift S then R. Directly will come to this screen. Select all and click on generate. And remember, all these getter and setter should be public because we will use these to access outside. So see, all these getter setter of all this property got auto generated. This is the benefit of IDE. I need not got to write so many lines of code. It is automatically generated. Now I will go and define another entity. As I discussed some time back, employee. Let's define employee as an entity. Let's create another class. I'll put it as employee in the same package. Okay. So already, name is there in the person. I want to inherit all the properties of the person, not to write it again, right? I don't want to duplicate it. I just want to reuse, which is already there through the help of inheritance. So what you can do here, you can write extends, right? And then you can write, I can extend the person class here. Okay. In this way, what will happen? The methods are not visible, but they are here. Now we'll define only the attribute for the employee, and then we will write a main method to see how we can use the attributes or property of the persons and employee together. So let me define attributes of private string, you know, company ID. I'll keep company ID or employee ID. Better it is employee, not company ID. It is employee ID. Private string what else I can have? Tell me. Employee salary, right? Private. What else I can have? Tell me. Employee, private, employee, employee salary, employee department, right? String department. Which department he belongs? Private string employee type, permanent or contractor, right? So you can make it as string or you can make it as integer. And in code wise, like one is for permanent, two is for temporary or contractor, right? So you can write here one represents. I will tell you how to write properly Java comments. This is just for timing. Two is for contractor, right? Okay. So this is how. Now let this much. Let generate this setter getter for this also, right? We got the setter getter for this class. Now I will create a main class to set these values and to print these values, right? So I will go and create a new class inside the same package. Whatever I'm doing inside the same package. I'll just write main. Yes, got a main class. So to make it static, public static void main, right? Public static void main method is also can be. Now let's create an employee object. I have a practice of writing like this. Employee equal to new employee. I don't write EMP, I write full. So this is how we created. Now first I have to set the employee name. Employee dot set name. See, tell me, do do I have name property inside the employee? No. Yes or no? I don't have name property inside the employee. I have name property inside the person class, right? Name attribute or property is present inside the person class. But I am able to get that set name here using employee object. How is it possible? It is possible because of inheritance. The type Satya. Employee dot set department. So let's set department technology. Technology innovation. So it is the department I am working, right? So see, I have set one parameter from person object, one parameter from department object. Now let's show you something. Person. I'm creating another object called person. ERSY equal to new ERSON person. I created a person class or person object, right? So here I will do person dot set. See how many parameters we are able to see when I'm doing sets dot set. How many parameters? Only age, birthplace, date of birth. Again, see age, birthplace, date of birth, gender, height, name. These are the parameters only available inside the person, and I'm able to see. But if I go to employee, see all parameters are visible that are present inside the employee as well as see set age, set birthplace, set department, set DOB, set employee ID, set employee salary, set employee type, set gender, set height, set name. All these are parameters available inside employee as well as inside person. So all the parameters are visible, right? All these parameters are visible. Now we'll set person dot set name something else. Okay, let's say Madhu, right? Person dot set department. Is it visible? No, department will not be visible. Only I can say name. I cannot set department the way I have set for the Satya. Right? So let print all this now and see the output. Employee name. Yep. How I will use the same employee object. Dot get name. Right? Then what I will do this. I will use department. What I will have here employee dot get department. Right? I go to the department. This is for the you know for I will do I'll print fetching from employee object. Fetching from person object. Okay, fetching from person object. So since department is not there, I am not able to set the department. What I will do, I will just print person name. Right, I'll save it and let me run it for you all. See, fetching from employee object, employee name Satya, department technology innovation, fetching from person object, person name Madhu. So you see, this is how the output comes, right? So if I change this name, Satyananda, right? See, fetching from employee object, employee name Satyananda, department technology innovation, fetching from person object, person name Madhusmita Sahu. See, that's how it is. You know, you are able to reuse through inheritance. There are so many ways how to reuse the existing artifacts of other class inside your class. So this is how inheritance. I've given one example of inheritance. I will show you some more example of inheritance in my coming class. There is an S session. Today I will keep this session here. Any concern after watching my video? You have any question, any queries? You put comment on comment section, or you can send mail to my mail ID. I will reply you back. Thank you, everyone.